Hey there, welcome to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. All right, today I'm going to share with you my thoughts on a release that came out in 2024 on 4K Ultra HD. This is another entry into the Criterion Collection of an Albert Brooks film. So you all know, those of you who follow this channel probably know that I have really loved all the Albert Brooks films that I've had a chance to see. And I'm adding another one to that list because I really enjoyed this edition of Mother on 4K Ultra HD from the Criterion Collection that came out sometime last year. It's Spine 1232. It's a film from 1996, written and directed by Albert Brooks and stars Albert Brooks and Debbie Reynolds along with Rob Morrow. But it's really the combination of Albert Brooks, who plays the son, in this case, of Debbie Reynolds. Albert Brooks plays John Henderson. He is the son of Beatrice Henderson, and this is just a fascinating tale of the whole mother-son dynamic that I think a lot of people can relate to. This is part of the reason why I really enjoyed this film, is because it sort of reminded me, and I think a lot of people will experience this, it sort of reminds you, or reminds a lot of people, of their own relationship with their own mother. Of course, as I've mentioned on this channel, my mother passed away in December of 2024, so very recently. So seeing this movie definitely touched on some things for me and kind of reminded me of some of the fun times I had with my mother and just some of the quirky idiosyncrasies that come up in mother-son dynamics. And this is played out so beautifully in this film based on the performances by Albert Brooks and Debbie Reynolds. So I really enjoyed that aspect of this title here. It says, "No one misunderstands you better." No one misunderstands you better. This film explores, the whole dynamics of the mother-son relationship, generational differences, and just also how people can come to understand one another and unearth some things that gives people greater insight into, oh, so this is what motivated you to feel the way you felt about me, and this is how I turned out the way I turned out, and all that's played out beautifully in this film. So this is a film from 1996, and I have to say, it sat on my shelf for a few months, and I'm so glad I finally dusted it off and popped it in the player and watched this thing. So I've already told you I've enjoyed this film. On the other side of this, I'm going to share with you what I think about the picture quality. I'll share a little bit more about the film, and I'll talk about the supplements and whether or not this is, as an overall package, is this worth you picking up and adding to your collection? So let's get into it. All right, we're talking about Mother. This is Spine 1232 in the Criterion Collection, a film written and directed by Albert Brooks, starring Albert Brooks and Debbie Reynolds. And this is a fascinating film. It's basically about this writer named John Henderson, played by Albert Brooks, recently divorced for the second time. He's dealing with writer's block, and he has this idea in his mind that, you know what, if I can just go back home and live with my mother, maybe that'll help me understand, why I'm having trouble in relationships, and maybe even help me with my writer's block. So he's going back home to live with his mother, played by Debbie Reynolds in this film. And it is a film that covers the funny side of that whole relationship, some serious moments, and it just does it so beautifully. I just love the performances of our Albert Brooks and Debbie Reynolds playing off of each other. So many funny moments, but also a lot of serious and heartfelt moments as the two of them grapple with their relationship with each other and just trying to understand each other better. It's just a beautiful, beautiful film, and I can highly recommend it to anyone that's interested in a film like this. That's one of the things I like about Albert Brooks's films, is that I feel like his films deal with like real life in a very organic, earthy kind of way. It's not these big, lofty, big spectacle adventures. It's just dealing with real life, down to earth. And of course, you experience that with, of course, titles like Lost in America. A man recently gets laid off, decides to go with his wife buy an RV and travel across the country, or Defending Your Life, where he stars with Meryl Streep. had a mental block there, Meryl Streep, and dealing with the afterlife from Albert Brooks's perspective. Just a lot of simple stories with simple premises that really give you a glimpse into the human condition on a simplistic level, but there's layers underneath that as you dig into those layers, you get a lot of richness there. This is a great example of that, because the simple premise sets up for a lot of discovery in terms of the past of the mother and the past of the son, and how those pasts help them better understand each other as they discover more about each other. So really enjoyed that. I'll read the back of this case. It says, reeling after his second divorce and struggling with writer's block, sci-fi novelist John Henderson, Albert Brooks, resolves to figure out where his life went wrong and hits on an unorthodox solution, moving back in with his relentlessly disapproving, cheerfully passive-aggressive mother, Debbie Reynolds, whose favorite son has always been John's younger brother, Jeff, played by Rob Morrow. It's an experiment that, however harebrained, delivers surprising results. Brooks's film perfectly blends the writer-director star's biting wit with insight and inviting warmth, while giving him a formidable foil in the delightful Reynolds, triumphant in a comeback role that's equal parts caustic and charming. So, of course, Debbie Reynolds is the mother here, and there's some great information in the supplements around how this film was cast and how he landed on Debbie Reynolds, how he landed on Rob Morrow to play in this film with him. And of course, Debbie Reynolds is the mother of Carrie Fisher. Of course, Carrie Fisher played Princess Leia. The two of them passed away within days of each other, sadly enough, in 2016. But it's the connection of Debbie Reynolds and Carrie Fisher that allowed Albert Brooks to have a pretty cool moment in this film, where this film takes place in the San Francisco area, similar place to where The Graduate starring Dustin Hoffman takes place. And so that famous song Mrs. Robinson, of course, was adapted to this film, Mother, to Mrs. Henderson. And, the lyrics were sort of changed to fit the story of this film. And there's a montage where you see Albert Brooks's character driving along the Golden Gate Bridge, similar to Dustin Hoffman's character doing the same thing, and to this song, Mrs. Henderson, so he was able to do that because Carrie Fisher at the time was married to Paul Simon, who is, of course, half of Simon and Garfunkel, who did the soundtrack for The Graduate. So through that connection, they were able to, get the ability to adapt that song and put it in the film in a very cool time in this movie. So I really like that. And just really the overall way that the director of photography shot this film. He was directed to shoot this film in a way that really brought the home life to life in a very interesting and engaging way, and making ordinary spaces look as beautiful as they possibly can, in terms of the mother's home, in terms of the supermarkets, the restaurants, different places that they would occupy, really making those homey spaces look as beautiful as possible. So really enjoyed this story, enjoyed this film, and it was an absolute treat to see this movie. Now, in terms of how this movie looks on 4K Ultra HD, I'll go ahead and open this up. You see the inside of the case here. You have your 4K disc and Blu-ray disc. You see the outside. And of course, you have this insert. And in this insert, it tells you just a beautiful picture here of Debbie Reynolds and Albert Brooks. You also see Debbie Reynolds dealing with this video phone. So the younger brother bought a video phone for the mother so he could see her on the other side. And of course, it's bad. It's the old technology, so it's not, it's fuzzy screens. You're not really seeing people very clearly as we do today. It is just interesting, Debbie Reynolds using that physical comedy, going back to the days when she was on Singing in the Rain, when she played in Singing in the Rain with Gene Kelly and Donald O'Connor. Just a fantastic time. 4 decades before, the 1950s. Now she's playing the mother of Albert Brooks in this 1996 film, Mother, but just showing her physical comedy in this scene here was just fantastic. But if you look on the inside, you'll see it says about the master that this is a 4K restoration from the original 35mm camera negative. So it's from the original camera negative. There's HDR applied here. So it's presented in HDR, high dynamic range, HDR10, not Dolby Vision. And overall, the picture looks really nice on this 4K disc. I mean, it's a very nice 4K picture, very organic looking picture. It just looks beautifully restored and cleaned up. The grain is beautifully resolved, and it is just a nice looking picture of a film that's nearly 30 years old, restored in 4K with a nice 4K restoration. It's clean, there's nice depth in the image, and it just looks beautiful. It's a beautiful looking picture of this film from 1996. Now, if I take these discs out, so I saw nothing wrong with the picture at all. I mean, I saw no evidence of dirt, scratches, anything. Everything was cleaned up beautifully. This is, of course, Albert Brooks, John Henderson, and Beatrice Henderson, played by Debbie Reynolds, in the supermarket. Very, very funny scene there, with them buying groceries. That was very, very interesting, and some of the characters that they would run into there. This is just a funny movie all the way around that I thoroughly enjoyed. You had the cast, of course: Debbie Reynolds, Beatrice Henderson, Albert Brooks played John Henderson, Rob Morrow played Jeff Henderson. Rob Morrow's wife in this film, Cheryl Henderson, was played by Isabel Glasser. Just a fantastic cast, and I was thoroughly impressed with this film, and this is probably one of my favorites from Albert Brooks as I think about it. Just a fantastic film. Just seeing Debbie Reynolds in this role 4 decades after Singing in the Rain is just a treat, and she is an absolute delight in this film. Just seeing her quirkiness in terms of her personality and how that plays off of John Henderson's character, Albert Brooks, and just the relationship between the mother and the son dealing with his dating problems and the dynamics there, and dealing with the dynamics of his younger brother, Rob Morrow. Really, really cool film. It's a fun film. Comes in at 104 minutes, so it doesn't keep you incredibly long, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Looks great on 4K Ultra HD. Of course, you also have a nice 2.0 surround DTS HD master audio soundtrack. The sound also comes across very, very well. So from an overall presentation standpoint, this is a winner. This is a film that just has that nice earthy, organic look to it that is perfect for the homey atmosphere that this film basically is about. It's about a mother and a son and their relationship. A lot of the time is spent in the home. A lot of the time is spent in either the home, supermarket, or restaurants. And you have a few other locales as well, but it's a down-home kind of film, and it's presented so beautifully, with the director of photography doing a fantastic job lensing this film. Of course, the DP was Lajos Koltai, so the supplements talk about him and how he photographed this film. And in terms of supplements, it's not a very loaded edition. There's only a couple of supplements on here, but they're very good supplements, including a new interview with Albert Brooks that is fantastic. He talks about a little bit about his background and how he put together this film, Mother. So that's a fantastic interview. And then you have a shorter interview that's also a new interview as well with Rob Morrow, who played the younger brother. That is a really good interview as well. He talks about Albert Brooks and how he got cast for the role. And then, of course, you have a trailer and a teaser. The teaser is pretty interesting from Albert Brooks that I think you ought to check out. And then you have an essay by Carrie Rickey in here that's included on this insert. That's very good. That's called "Look Ma, No Therapist." So I definitely recommend checking out that. But as you look at this insert, you have some really nice pictures here as well. So definitely check out the essay by Carrie Rickey, as well as the wonderful pictures in this insert and all the other wonderful information that's included in here. So overall, this is a really nice addition from the Criterion Collection. I was very happy with it. Very happy to add this edition of an Albert Brooks film along with Defending Your Life and Lost in America to the collection. I still need to check out Real Life, that I also picked up on 4K Ultra HD, but I was very, very happy with Mother and can definitely recommend it on an upcoming sale. Definitely consider picking this up. It is a fantastic film, heartwarming film that I think feels very true and feels genuine. And I think a lot of people can relate to it, just in terms of how, they relate to their mothers, especially when you have, an aging mother type of a situation. Really, really cool stuff. But let me know in the comment section below, what do you think about this film if you've seen it? What do you think about other Albert Brooks films? And let me know what some of your favorite films are from this director. Let me know that in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you next time at the movies. Peace.